Dear Pernille, it's an honor to have you join us today for the International Orby Foundation Executive Interview Series 2025. The series highlights pioneers in occupational health and safety celebrating their innovations and expertise. This year is especially significant as we prepare for the 25th anniversary of the International ORP Foundation. We are thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm
Thank,
thrilled to be a part of this.
thank you so much. So let me take a brief moment to introduce you to our audience. Before we start, Pernille is a dedicated leader in workplace safety leadership and organizational development. As Vice President of Global Services at Human House, she is helping organizations create strong safety cultures, prevent workplace accidents, and promote a healthy occupational environment on a global scale. Is everything correct?
Yes, that's true.
Amazing. So let's give our audience a quick roadmap of what's ahead. We will start by exploring Human House and Vision Zero. Next, we will take a look at the artificial intelligence. We will also discuss the role of corporate culture. And finally, we will wrap up by discussing the role of collaboration and the 25th anniversary of the International ORP Foundation. Pernille, shall we begin?
Yes.
Excellent. Let us start by tackling the importance of a proactive mindset in the workplace safety. Vision Zero is transforming how organizations approach occupational safety, shifting the focus from reacting to incidents to preventing them before they happen. Therefore, Pernille, as Vice President of Global Services at Human House, how does your organization integrate Vision Zero approach into its work with organizations?
Yeah, I think that many organizations, they do want to work with prevention, and they do want to increase their prevention level when it comes to safety, but often they do not know where to start. So in many organizations, private and public organizations, we help the companies do a workplace assessment, which can be an IT-based questionnaire where we ask managers and employees on how do they see the prevention level of their company or of their workplace, both in general on safety, but also we ask them on each of Vision Zero's 7 golden rules. How do they see the prevention level on each of these 7 golden rules? Because then the companies and the workplaces can get an overview of how does it look like from the perspective of the managers and the employees. And they will be able to see where can we increase the prevention level, and then have a prioritization that maybe we should work with the rule number 2, which is risk assessment and risk management, or we should work with rule number 7, which is employee involvement. So often we start by doing this type of mapping. Then in some companies, we work with the gap analysis, which is in practical terms just to go through the Vision 07 golden rules and to find out where can they improve on each of the 7 golden rules so that they know how should they prioritize their time and also economic efforts when having a more preventive overall strategy on health and safety. So this is about mapping. Then it's very important that we get to talk with the top management of the workplaces to make them realize what is their own role in prevention. Many top managers, they do a lot of effort in saying in their companies, safety first, safety is our first priority, people come first and all this, which is good, of course, but we still need the top management level to understand that they need to do more than this. They need to be also role models, both in words but also in action. So they need to show in daily life that they prioritize prevention. We need them to, at all meetings, for example, at the top management level, that they also require and motivate their own managers on prioritizing prevention and how to work with this and so on. So top management education or inspiration is an important part of our job in the Human House. And then, of course, also when we have the top management commitment, that we train the managers, the line managers, the us professionals on what is it exactly that we have to do differently in our daily work in order to have a higher prevention level. Because health and safety can be complicated, and all people are working in a busy daily life. So we need to find out where to focus to get the best results. And we know from research that if we do some very good manager safety walks, if we integrate safety in all meetings in a meaningful way, then this will already help the safety culture to develop into a higher prevention level. So these are the main ways that we work with the workplaces on Vision Zero and a higher prevention level.
Such a great vision. And if I could ask, what do you think keeps organization motivated to sustain it long term?
I think the main advantage of Vision Zero is that the mindset in itself motivates managers. I can see this. I have worked in this field for many years, and because Vision Zero is such a simple, not complicated way of thinking safety, of working with safety, it motivates managers that are not educated in us, because sometimes we have the us professionals, of course, they know a lot about what to do in health and safety, but line managers, they often don't have any education in this, of course, because they are, line managers for other reasons also. So when we can explain to them that this is a simple mindset that you can integrate into your daily business life in a quite simple way, that in itself gives motivation. And Vision Zero is also about having leading indicators, meaning that we should measure in our companies and workplaces all the good efforts that we do in safety. For example, instead of just measuring zero accidents, all companies do this, we should also measure all the good preventive actions that we take. And that in itself can make the mindset more sustainable and more integrated in the business also in the longer term. Is if we really challenge ourselves in the workplaces to think more about leading indicators and instead of just having the lacking indicators.
Such a relevant point.
Yeah. And also, if I may add, I think workplaces should prioritize to educate the line managers in what is my role in this. Not just what is the us professionals' role in health and safety, what is my role as a line manager, what do the top manager expect from me when it comes to prevention. Because if I'm only told you are responsible for zero accidents, then we see underreporting. We see not because people don't care about that employees get injured, but because if the target is only zero accidents, you can think as a manager and an employee, I don't want to be the one that breaks the statistics. So if we educate managers that they are not only responsible for securing zero accidents, but also responsible to have, for example, an psychological safety, to have open dialogues with employees where we can knowledge share and we can learn from how work is really done. This is also a way to keep the motivation in the long run. And for the line managers to feel that they actually they make a difference. So they are not only policemen looking at to have good statistics, but actually fostering a good safety culture. But this needs, of course, education on how to do that.
So well said. So now let's switch gears and focus on the role of modern technologies.
Mhm.
Modern technologies and artificial intelligence are now playing a crucial role in occupational health and safety.
Mhm.
Pernille, how can organizations leverage technologies such as behavioral safety analytics or predictive risk assessment tools to create safer work environments?
Yeah, that is a very good question and a very relevant question. First of all, I think we need to challenge ourselves with respect to our mindsets about this, at least in my part of the world. There is a tendency to focus a lot on the negative consequences of technology and digital transformation, because the discussion goes a lot about, oh, but should we, what about the surveillance of people? There is a fear that should we put, for example, the cameras in the production areas, or if we work with the artificial intelligence, do we get then information overload? And it's a sort of risk assessment. All the negative aspects of digital transformation is what is very common in the discussions, both in the media, but also in the workplaces. So my first point is that we need to change this mindset, because of course we should be aware of these risks, but the benefits of the new technologies are so great when it comes to saving lives, minimizing work-related incidents in general, but also work-related illnesses and so on. So we need to see the potential for prevention of these OSH technologies. So when we have ethical discussions about should we have cameras to monitor people, that is an ethical question, but it's also an ethical question to say, yes, but if we do this, we might prevent accidents or even deaths. That is also an ethical question. So what I see as the biggest potential of the new technologies is that often we rely on human behavior in order to have safe workplaces. We rely on people following safety rules, doing what we tell them to do, and so on. But humans are not perfect. So humans get tired. Humans get unfocused because they think about their family maybe, or they had a bad night's sleep or whatever. So sometimes things happen, accidents happen because the human employees are not perfect always. And what we can use the technology for is that the technology do not get tired, and the technology is always focused. So it should work together with us humans to make sure that when we are not fully concentrated, maybe the technology can help us in detecting. Let's take the example of we have two truck drivers driving in a warehouse. One is a little bit tired or unfocused, and there is a risk of an accident, of collision of the two trucks. Then we can have the technology warning us that now you're too close to another truck. So please, either the truck stops itself, or you get the warning. So this is just one example where technology can help us. The other point is that work life is complicated and complex, and there are so many risks all the time, whereas all technologies using AI can process all this data. The human mind, can do a lot of things, but to have the overview of all the data on, for example, analyzing accidents to prevent these from happening in the future, analyzing risk assessment data to do more predictive risk assessments. These tools are out there and can be used so that we as humans better can see the patterns and better understand the potential risks of our behavior. So in that sense, we will raise the prevention level. Vision Zero is very much about knowledge sharing and learning, and I think this is where the technology can help us a lot in the good way. But I think we need to discuss at the workplaces the term that is called digital literacy, meaning that do we have enough knowledge among us professionals, among managers, also in our procurement departments? Do we know and not enough about these digital possibilities? And I will state, no, we don't know enough about this. We need to educate ourselves on what are the possibilities, because I work with a lot of us managers. They have no overview of all the possibilities that are out there. So they don't know what they should implement in their companies because they simply don't have the overview of all the good digital solutions that are out there. Then we have the procurement departments that buy new machines, new technical aids, and so on for the companies. But the procurement departments, they don't know about these OSH prevention technologies either. So this is what I mean by that we have a gap in digital literacy, that the whole OSH community has a huge role in finding out how can we educate people in the companies, private and public companies, on all the possibilities that are out there so that they can make an informed choice on what they want to use and what they don't want to use.
Thank you so much for your response and for touching up on such an important matters such as digital literacy or ethics in modern technologies.
Yeah.
And it is so true that it's important not only to look at the positive side of it, but at the negative side as well. But we are optimists over here. And
Yeah.
our last question in regards to modern technologies, is there any artificial intelligence driven tool you find particularly interesting?
Oh, I find many of the tools interesting. I think that for an area like ergonomics, for example, the tools where you can actually in a real time assess an employee movement and to in quite a short amount of time find out whether the normal work movements of an employee are healthy when it comes to ergonomics and the prevention of musculoskeletal disorders, that we can quite quickly get overview of this in a very objective manner. And then we can use this in order to either do job rotations or to even improve the workstation and the way that people work. This is a very simple tool, but a very efficient tool, I think. It does not require a huge investment, but the benefits of this is quite high. I also find it very interesting that the type of AI that analyzes previous accidents, near misses, and so on, in order to be able to predict the probability of accidents or near misses happening in, for example, certain areas of factories. I think this gives a totally new dimension to risk management, to how to define risks, and also how to prioritize our resources. Many companies today, they analyze, of course, accidents, and then they do preventive measures, but no one actually knows which of these measures are the best ones to choose. from a financial perspective, because of course we need to prioritize our resources, whereas the more predictive risk assessment digital tools can help us prioritize in the most efficient manner. So that would be the two that, yeah. But again, I really think that this will revolutionize our health and safety work if we take it as a important step to let us in our profession as us professionals, if we need to be educated in this, because this will be the future.
For sure. Such
Yeah,
an exciting future with
yeah,
technology.
yeah, yeah, true.
Great. So, as we move on, we have seen technology and data driven tools can create safer workplaces, yet lasting change depends on the people behind them.
Yeah.
A true culture of safety isn't just about policies or technologies, it's about leadership, values, and the mindset that every organization fosters.
Mhm.
Pernille, with your expertise in leadership and organizational development, what role do you believe corporate cultures play in achieving Vision Zero?
I believe that the two main things we need to consider is, when it comes to Vision Zero, the structure, the systems, and then the culture, as you say, the corporate culture. Many workplaces, they have quite a good structure for working with Vision Zero and prevention. And by structure, I mean they have good policies, they have management systems, they have procedures and all this. And when we analyze companies, we see that, as I said before, many companies they're actually quite good at doing these structures. So, but what is important to remember is that structure is only a foundation, because if we don't have the culture, we can have a lot of structure, and nothing will happen. That is what we call, we can have a very good paper world, which is all the systems, procedures, and so on. But we need the real world also to be a part of this. And this is where the corporate culture comes into play, because we can choose to have what we call a control culture. A control culture, this is about being compliant. This is about that we have a lot of checklist checking that we are compliant with this law and this rule and this procedure and so on. So most of our work is about ticking boxes. Yes, we've done this checklist and so on. But that is a very reactive way of looking at things. This works if you have a very static organization where you can predict everything. Then it can be fine to have a lot of descriptions and so on of how to do work in the ideal way when it comes to safety, for example. But what we see now in workplaces is that workplaces are getting more and more dynamic and more unpredictable. And if a work situation is more unpredictable, then you cannot solve this by having a good system, because you need people to think by themselves. If things do not go as we predicted, then you don't have a procedure or a work description that can tell you what to do. So we need to rely on managers and employees to think by themselves on how to solve this situation that has arisen. When a machine breaks down, if something we didn't predict happens with a technical aid or whatever the situation is. And this is where culture comes into play, because culture is, you can say, a definition of culture could be how we do things around here. So if an unsafe situation happens, how do we react to this? And if we have the Vision Zero mindset in our hearts, the prevention mindset in our hearts as a value, then we will choose the right thing to do if a machine breaks down. Then we will stop and say, okay, we are lacking behind on the deadline because now this machine is broken. But for us, safety comes first. So we find a safe solution. We think and we are creative about finding a safe solution. before we start the machine again. This makes a huge difference because if your value is only we need to meet the production deadlines, then you can choose a situation that can be potentially unsafe. So I think the culture is a value that guides our decisions in our everyday. And how the way you can see if you have a good culture is what do the employees do when the manager is not there? How do they react? How do they prioritize? If safety is still of high priority, both when the manager is there, but also when the manager is not there, then we know that this is embedded in our culture. And also for managers, and this is a part of corporate culture, we know that employees, they are much more oriented towards what the managers do than any written policy. If we have a policy saying safety first, but the action of the manager is no, safety is not first because we need to meet this production deadline, then it doesn't matter what is written. Then it is the culture that the employees will react to what the managers are doing. So culture in the sense of managers feeling and also being able to decide that safety is the highest priority, even when we have the dilemma of meeting deadlines or choosing the safe situation or the safe solution will mean more money or whatever it is, right? So in that sense, corporate culture is very important, and many workplaces, they do have values. If you go to a web page of any, at least some middle-sized or larger companies, they always have values. And if you look into these values, they are very often quite coherent with safety values. So we need to somehow combine the company values with how we work with safety in the company. And I think the foundation is already there with the corporate values, the strategic values of many companies. But we need to translate these values into what does that mean in daily life for a supervisor on the shop floor. Then there is another important part of culture that is about what we just mentioned before with the psychological safety. Because if we are to have a good prevention culture, we need to have psychological safety, which means that everyone feels safe to speak up. To speak up if they see unsafe actions, to speak up if they don't themselves follow the safety rules, because often people have a good reason for not doing it. So we need all this to be discussed because otherwise we won't get a prevention culture. So corporate culture when it comes to values, but also corporate culture when it comes to this, that it's okay to speak up and talk openly about these things. I'm aware that in some cultures this is more normal or it's more a part of the tradition. For example, in Denmark, where I come from, we have a long tradition of everyone speaking up, even in front of managers and so on. And I'm aware that this is not the same culture in all countries, but I still believe, regardless of the culture, for example, if we have an accident, we need to be able to discuss what was the reason for this accident. So at least start there to have these discussions and to ask employees, because employees are the experts. They are the ones doing the jobs every day. So we need to hear the perspectives of the employees in order to understand what is really happening, how the work is really done, and not only on how the work is described to be done. Yeah.
Such a compelling point. A strong culture can make all the difference.
Yeah.
And building up on that, if I could ask, how can we make sure that employees at all levels feel responsible to advocate Vision Zero?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think what maybe this is a bit philosophical, but I think what unites human beings in all cultures is that we are very good at taking care of each other. Because this is a biological thing, right? We take care of our children, we take care of our husbands and wives, we take care of our family. This is something, regardless of culture, regardless of which country you come from in the world, we all have this taking care of each other as a fundamental value. So I think we need to somehow bring this strength that we all have into the workplace as well. For example, I now do some leadership training for an international company, and this training is called Not on My Watch, meaning that each manager should have the feeling that nobody gets hurt at my watch. So it's my emotional I prioritize emotionally that I will feel pride to take care of my workers just the same way as I take care of my family at home. For example, if I'm a grandfather and my grandchild is going to visit me today, I will look around the house to see, is there any dangers for my grandson to come here? Is there, a kettle with the hot water, or can he fall down the stairs to the basement? Or so this mindset, if we can get people to think in the same way at the workplace, that on my watch, nobody will get harmed because I feel pride in taking care of my people. The same at the employee level. Sometimes we humans, we are better at taking care of each other than taking care of ourselves. I think we all know what that means. And if we can have this culture where I take care of you as my colleague, this is my focus point. I take care of you, then you can take care of me. Because we are very strong. This is in our genes. I really believe this, that we need to find a way to bring out this strength in people. So taking care of each other, taking pride in nothing will happen on my watch because I'm responsible for my people. This is the core of the Vision Zero mindset, because in Vision Zero we believe that no one should get harmed going to work, whether it's accidents or illnesses. I'm aware, because I work with companies in real life, that this is not easy. But I still think it is feasible. Companies, they want to be excellent in the products they deliver. They want to be excellent in their customer relations. They want to be excellent in quality. And so therefore, I know that it's also possible to be excellent in the way you treat your employees and your managers. So that if you want to be an excellent company, of course you are excellent in this area as well. It's a long journey. But again, it's a fundamental human value to take care of each other. So we need to find a way to put that even more into the workplaces, because we are good at it at home with our families.
Thank you so much. That is such a beautiful perspective. And to tie this all together, let's explore the role of collaboration and knowledge sharing.
Yeah.
This year, we're proud and excited to celebrate our 25th anniversary of the International World View Foundation in Cartagena, the Indias, Colombia.
Yeah.
Thus, in your opinion, how do gatherings like these contribute to advancing global occupational health and safety practices?
I think gatherings like all the ORP conferences, I've been fortunate to participate also in quite some of them. I think they are crucial actually for the future of health and safety, because we face so many global challenges. That could be, for example, how to work with technology, as we discussed before, but it's also about, we still have really a lot of accidents on a world scale. We have a lot of work-related diseases. We have now the climate challenges and the effect of the climate on us. We see stress. We see abusive behavior. We have so many challenges on health and safety that are global challenges that every country has. So I think these gatherings is a way to for us professionals and managers to discuss these matters across borders, because we can see one perspective in Colombia on how to solve this. We can see another perspective in India, another in Denmark, and so on, because because of the cultural differences, we think in different ways. And I think all these perspectives will could sum up to some good solutions, because we include different perspectives of people's both professional but also cultural backgrounds. And I think some of the challenges that we face, for example, the climate change challenges, are so complex and so complicated that we need all our minds to work together on finding good solutions for health and safety and for prevention on some of these matters. And also, I think these gatherings is a way to not only discuss, but also to share best practices, which is very important, because we can all read a lot of material. And of course, there's a lot of good research, but we also need to hear how to apply this research in our practical lives in the companies. And this we can do also at gatherings, right? And to listen to people that have worked with a specific issue or challenge and they have found good solutions on this. And then I think meeting in person, I think we all learned this from COVID, that of course online is also a fine way, like we do now, but gatherings, physical gatherings is, I mean, is a way to form professional relations and maybe even friendships. So it's important also sometimes to prioritize to meet in person and have these discussions.
Absolutely, could not agree more. And thank you so much for your warm words about the ORP. We're always happy to have you with us. And building up on this, how can we ensure the momentum from the events like these continues afterward?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that when a lot of good things are happening at these conferences, one way could be that after conferences that we actually arrange for some, that could be online, some network meetings with specific topics that have been on the conferences that people want to explore more, for example. This could be one way of doing it, because I think for myself, this is a very personal answer, but when I go from a conference, I have so many ideas, I have so much I want to implement, but then reality hits when you go home and you have a lot of other priorities. But I think that if there was this, maybe, I don't know, 1 month after, now it's very practical advice, but if we have, for example, 1 month after a network meeting where we could then join and discuss, have we implemented some of the things we have heard? Have we thought more about it, and so on? Because I think to create momentum is always about having people with the same interest being responsible for each other, at least to discuss the progress of things. This is also when we implement health and safety campaigns in companies and so on. We need the social support from each other to make it last. Because if you have only your individual goals, we know this doesn't work as well. So having social support from others participating in these conferences, for example, network meetings, or people at the conferences forming alliances or agreements, and we could motivate people to do that by asking them actually at conferences to make some agreements with other people, because the chances that you will implement and even integrate some of the good things requires people. We are best when we are social, and that's in general, right? But also in professional terms. And then, of course, I think we need in the us world to figure out how do we get more line managers to participate in these gatherings. Because if we, for example, as an us professional, I go to a conference, if I have also my manager with me, or any manager, then sometimes it's also easier to get to implement things when we get back. That's often how it works, right? Because I see many us professionals really being motivated and really wanting to implement or to make a difference, or, for example, to introduce a Vision Zero mindset, but then they find it difficult to argue when they go back. So if they have the support of a manager, maybe also with them, then it can be easier to. It's always difficult to change a mindset in an organization, right? So maybe it's too much of a task for one person. Yeah, so that would be my answer, I think.
This really resonates.
Mm.
That's a very insightful way to frame this message.
Mm.
And is there any advice you would like to give to our audience?
I think I'm a bit colored in my mind with the Vision Zero, because I work so much with the Vision Zero mindset. But I really truly believe that if you use the Vision Zero mindset, the Vision Zero golden rules, in actually all what you do, working with health and safety, then you will get results. So it's really a mindset to always think about all the 7 aspects that are in the 7 golden rules. Whatever project that you work with in health and safety, also when it comes to well-being, when it comes to the psychological or the psychosocial work environment. If you listen to this as a manager, the way you work with your employees, you can also have this mindset of the Vision Zero golden rules. It has helped myself a lot in finding new solutions to traditional or complex problems, because it's easy to remember and easy to apply in your busy daily life. So get familiar with the 7 golden rules and just start using them. And then you will, of course, get more and more experience and can use them in different situations. But to just start using them on one specific task or one specific problem that you have, then it can become a mindset for you, and then you can inspire others also to have this as a mindset. That would be my advice.
Such a bold advice. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and for the conversation today.
I thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. And we also would like to say a big thank you to audience for joining us today. And last but not least, we would like to remind everyone that the 25th anniversary is just around the corner. Stay safe, stay engaged, and follow our official channels for more conversations like this. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.